Hello, my friends, and today we've got news that BioWare is freaking out because Dragon Age Veilguard is sending out refunds going through the roof. And apparently, the woke game devs out there, which there are unfortunately a lot, are just gnashing their teeth right now and ripping off their shirts, tearing their garments, because Donald Trump is now the president-elect. But let's get into it. Let's do it.
Hey everyone, it's Endymion, and there's quite a bit to go over today, from Dragon Age's devs panicking as refunds begin to skyrocket, and one of their devs are parroting and posting anti-conservative hate in the wake of the election.
Wow.
And I even got insider info on BioWare again.
That's not surprising, though. I mean, you're supposed to be all inclusive and embracing of everybody, unless you don't think what we think. Then you're a piece of trash.
And beyond this, we'll look at the ramifications of that election through the eyes of the video games industry, and how things are going to get much more insufferable, but also way funnier too. So let's begin. Firstly, I want to start with the insider info that I've been given. This is from my same source that I shared previous Dragon Age pre-order numbers with, which was in my video from a few days back. They also kept me informed on CD Projekt Red's DEI policies and Assassin's Creed Shadows as well.
Wow.
Anyway, they got more for me. Apparently, according to them, pre-orders for Veilguard were actually even less than initially thought.
Whoa.
I told you in the last video they were roughly 115,000 total pre-orders across all platforms. That's digital and physical, by the way. And new info that my
And that's for the whole entire nation, right? So, geez. And if it's lower than that, oh my gosh.
source has now told me that the numbers actually may have been too high. The number that they're hearing from people at EA now is that it was actually between 70 to 75,000 pre-orders in total before release, which is, yeah, not.
That's that's beyond failure. For a franchise like Dragon Age, I mean, come on, that is pathetic. And I don't care what your ideology is, you have to be able to recognize that.
Not good at all. In total, what I'm told, Veilguard may have sold overall, so far anyway, in the 500,000 range. Which may sound good to some, but this is completely abysmal for a game of this level.
I mean, if I put out a game that nobody heard about, and it sold 500,000 copies, I'd be doing backflips and singing praises all day long. You know, it'd be like the best time of my life. But not if I'm putting out Dragon Age. No, that's wow.
For comparison's sake, Inquisition ended up selling about 12 million copies in about 10 years, which makes that game BioWare's best-selling game of all time to this day.
Wow.
Veilguard has also been out for about a week, and many games with much smaller budgets have fared far better this year.
Sure.
Metaphor Refunds, for example, broke 1 million copies sold in 24 hours, as did the new Sonic game as well. The point here is that other games that are either RPGs as well or have considerably smaller budgets and dev time are selling more at a faster rate than Veilguard is. And for a game that went through many iterations as it did and took BioWare about a decade to deliver, this turnout is abysmal. There's no other way to go about it. You don't.
I wonder how much, over the period of 10 years, how much they actually spent making the game. Because you not only have to make the game, but then you have to advertise the game, which I know in movies, it usually is about the same as the budget to make the film. So, you have to actually do double what everything doubles. So you have to do a lot. I don't know if that's true with games though. So
don't release the anticipated sequel to your best-selling game and fumble the release like this so badly without doing it on purpose. All of the gender identity stuff and more is a big reason why this game is not selling the way that they hoped it would. We've seen it all year, as you already know. Games that push this stuff are failing pretty much unanimously, and the only games that do have this sort of thing that also sell are anomalies like Baldur's Gate 3. which thankfully at least puts all of this nonsense behind player choice, meaning you can play the whole game and enjoy it as normal without being bombarded with current day-isms if you don't want to. Dragon Age, unfortunately, doesn't do that. Besides a few choices here or there, most choices simply just do not matter. For example, in Chapter 8 of Veilguard, I guess slight spoilers if you care, but anyways,
I don't.
You're fighting off a Darkspawn horde at Weishaupt, which is the Grey Warden's base of operations. The first Warden is an old white guy who is obviously not a good person because he's a white man.
He's white.
And this just places him amongst the other cartoonishly evil white men that are also within this game.
Of course.
At one point, you can actually dethrone the first Warden and take command of the Grey Wardens from him during the invasion, or you can
I'm not gonna lie, that armor is looking pretty badass. It looks cool.
Reason with him and keep him in power. I chose to reason with the first Warden myself, mostly cause I could tell that dethroning him would be considered the typical choice they think you would make. And by the way, if you do dethrone him, a woman takes his place as Warden Commander because of course that happens.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta have girl power, you know? That would be the obvious choice.
So I chose to not do that, just because I wanted to see if my player choice would be respected. So later on, in the very same mission, the first Warden is all battle damaged and decides to sacrifice himself to kill an Archdemon. Which makes sense, because only Grey Wardens can kill Archdemons. We know this from Dragon Age Origins. Anyways, as he goes to kill the Archdemon, he's immediately stopped and killed by Gillining, the elf god, and then he dies not accomplishing his final task. So ultimately, whether you dethrone the white guy or you reason with him, he gets sidelined either way and removed from the story anyways. Meaning that yet again...
Why would that guy have such a look of shock when that demon god or whatever guts the Grey Warden? Like, is that so surprising? That thing wants to kill the Grey Warden? They're trying to kill it, so anyways. That's funny.
Again, like always in Veilguard, your choices genuinely never really matter. And the game just kind of bends itself back constantly to what it considers the canon route. It's a frustrating game with companions as well that just kind of feel out of place, but none of this is too surprising, considering the response from players and who actually supported the game at launch. So Veilguard not selling very well doesn't really surprise me at all. This is what happens when you make a game promoted as being pro-player choice, only for said choices to not really matter anyway.
Yeah, and I've mentioned in other videos that choice is like the most important thing, I think, when designing a game. You know, even if the choice is predetermined, like it's not a real choice, because you need to lead. A lot of games you need to lead because it's more linear, so you need to lead the player to where they ultimately need to be. But if you at least give them the illusion of choice, and sometimes legitimate choices are important to have, but that choice, regardless, needs to have a payoff, and it needs to matter. And because otherwise, yeah, you're going to have this exact same situation where people are like, well, F it. It doesn't matter what I do, because either way, regardless, there's a set outcome, even if I don't agree with that. Especially in a game like this, when you should have all these different branching scenarios to accommodate pretty much, well, not any choice, but pretty much the different choices that the gamers are going to make. So complete failure on the part of these game designers.
And understandably, because this game is less a role-playing game and more so just a straightforward action RPG with, no choices really at all that really matter, it has led to players refunding the game in droves, as I was told by my same source. BioWare's higher-ups believe the game would skyrocket past 100,000 concurrent players on Steam during launch. It didn't, of course. It only hit 89,000 and has dropped since. Apparently, in terms of the EA subscription service, where you pay a monthly fee to play their catalog of games, which Veilguard is a part of, This offer only ended up pulling in around 20,000 players on Origin, as I'm told, which is hardly anything for a game that again needs far more than this to succeed. I'm also told in terms of refunds that currently the game has had at least 30,000 refunds in the past few days.
Man, that is devastating. Oh my gosh. I mean, if your pre-orders were under 100,000 and then you get that kind of refund number, that is grossly under what they need to be successful in this game. I mean, I would love to know the target number to be able to recoup the original budget to put this game out. I have not heard that yet. I haven't seen it yet, but it has to be in the tens of millions, high tens, maybe even hundreds. I don't know.
Is not good for your game that has barely sold 500,000 copies to be hemorrhaging players like this. So generally speaking, Veilguard is not a commercial success. It needed to sell around the 4 to 5 million mark to make a profit at least, and it's it's not doing that.
Okay, well, thank you, Endymion. Thank you for that information. I was just saying I don't know what that was, so thank you.
Will more people buy the game once it gets discounted? Sure it will, but while they may then claim they have more players due to discounted sale prices, obviously their profits will be lessened too.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is this: when a game does well, the publisher and the studio make it very publicly known if and when this happens.
Right.
There's a reason why Atlus immediately said that they sold over 1 million of Metaphor within 24 hours, because it shows confidence in the product as well as appreciation for fans worldwide.
Yeah, and as a developer and publisher, I mean, you're proud of that. That's really awesome. Yeah, of course you want to like tell everybody that your game is awesome and that it's selling super well and go out and get it. Yeah, of course. Yeah, capitalism.
But when you're a week into your release and there's not a peep out of your marketing or sales teams, yeah, it doesn't take a genius, guys. Come on now. Had Veilguard broke 1 million in sales by now, they would have announced it already.
Everywhere.
There's a reason why the entire narrative surrounding the game has shifted from its release to publication stating that the Dragon Age team is not working on any DLC for the game, and they are instead now moving on to Mass Effect entirely. Remember that Inquisition had 3 major DLC releases, because this is what happens, obviously, when there's an actual player base to cater to and profit off of.
Yeah, because players want more, right? If it's a good game, they want it to continue. So yeah, of course you're going to do DLC, unless it sucks. Then you just abandoned it and move on, which looks like BioWare has done.
But when your main game is pulling around 4.16% of the total sales of your previous installment in its debut week, yeah, it's probably time to just admit defeat and move on and hope nobody gets laid off.
Man.
It is frustrating, man, because they could have had an amazing launch, but they chose to double down on stuff that nobody wants to see anymore. Then you have the lead right.
Go woke, go broke. I mean, it's it's a saying for a reason, right? Because it happens so many times and they just are not getting it. But I think that tide might be turning a little bit, especially with the election of Trump, which we'll get to later. But yeah, hopefully people are waking up. Not being woke, but waking. They're awake.
Writer of Veilguard, whose name is Patrick Weeks. Don't harass this person, by the way. But this Patrick guy has been retweeting a ton of stuff following the defeat of Kamala Harris after the presidential election that you for sure heard about. Spoilers, I guess. Trump won, of course, and this has pissed off all of the usual suspects. I don't want to delve too deep into the election here, but Patrick Weeks of BioWare decided to not say his own opinion, but instead retweet things to convey how he felt about it. This was from his Blue Sky account, and this was all collected by fandompulse.com. Lawrence O'Donnell talking about how the Electoral College is a massive voter suppression technique, and it enrages me that we're still being controlled by white effing enslavers centuries later, all while people refuse to even murmur the words white supremacy.
You know, that is so funny because if Harris won, or whenever any Democrat wins, oh, then the Electoral College is just beautiful. It's just the best thing in the world, right? But when they lose, and they lost bad, it you get reactions like this, which are just so hyperbolic and just such a lie. Give me a break. Suck it up. Trump won. We've had to deal with Biden and Harris for the last 4 years. You don't see it. We might complain about it, but we're not complaining like this. Never. The right never does that. Come on.
Yeah, so this Patrick Weeks guy, he is not happy that the orange man won. And it's not surprising that the old white guy who helped write Veilguard and goes out of their way to ensure that basically all the villains within the game are white people themselves is mad that a white guy won the election.
I'm surprised they didn't just make all the white guys the orange guys. Give everybody like really orange tans.
Election. Veilguard is a clear example of how Patrick and his team intrinsically do not like white people at all, despite being predominantly white themselves.
Yeah.
I find
that's the ironic thing. It's like I just don't get it. I can't wrap my head around their way of thinking. I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird way of thinking. I don't know.
That gross, honestly, that anyone can hate what they objectively are, but it sadly doesn't surprise me much to see that these usual types are acting this way. Patrick would also retweet people saying stuff like, "P.S. One more thing. The Harris campaign has been warning about this for days now, but it's bears saying again Trump will probably try to declare victory tonight. Do not fall for it and denounce it loudly. Team Harris is also expecting it, and they are prepared to act."
How could they even put out anything like that? That is straight up denial of reality. I mean, there were people calling Trump's victory by like 8:30 Eastern time because they read the tea leaves, right? They could see the trend that he was outperforming the 2020 election and definitely the 2016 election. So this is absolutely ridiculous and propaganda on on Harris, for Harris, as usual.
Well, that's not true because they actually closed down the Harris Discord like last night, which is
well, Harris went home before Trump was called. I mean, I'm out in the West, so we're in Mountain Time, and I think Trump was called. I think it was like 1 a.m. in Mountain Central. So, yeah, but I don't understand why Harris didn't stay at her HQ and just been like, "Okay, we lost. Hey, congratulations, Trump. You won. Thank you very much, and let everybody go home and go to sleep." Right? No, but she just bailed, just like Hillary did when she lost. She bailed. Oh man,
that's so pathetic, dude. But let's keep going. And there's more stuff he's also retweeted too, like this one, which says, -2% for being black, -2% for being a woman. That's all it took to make this close. It is in fact not over, and the fact that the people in charge were more scared of ruining America's image in their heads than they were of allowing insurrectionists and traitors to roam free.
Oh, that is such a lie of a statement. It was not an insurrection. They had no weapons. They did not try. I mean, it was not a good day. It was definitely a riot, at least the parts of the Capitol, but there were other parts of the Capitol where there was really nobody there, and the cops stood at this door and literally let people just walk in, and they were just like walking around like they're taking a normal tour, but those people got swept up too and got arrested. And they're like in solitary confinement for like 3 years or whatever. I mean, it's ridiculous. Come on, insurrectionists and traitors. It's time to drop the whole January 6th. It's over. it's over and it was not an insurrection. I'm sorry if I'm going to get flack or heat for saying that.
Ah, very nice, Patrick, that you see the majority of America as traitors because they don't parrot your ideology.
Exactly.
Wow, it's a...
Just like Biden said, the supporters of Trump are garbage. And that's literally what they think on that side of the aisle.
Wonder why your side lost, huh? Patrick was in pure delusion mode over on Blue Sky, where he also retweeted this. Harris ran a smart campaign. She was a solid candidate. Trump ran a disastrous campaign and is in clear decline. This was a clear choice. No matter who wins, half of voters either chose bigotry and authoritarianism or had no problem with it, and that's hard to take. Look, I could keep going, but I think you got the point. The lead BioWare writer for Veilguard here, they are in full panic cope mode, and they are lashing out like a child via social media because their side lost the election. Again, I don't want this video or this channel to get too political, as in, real world politics,
right?
But I do just want to say this before I move on. What people need to realize about the outcome of this election is simple. The people who are mad that Trump won, they simply need to understand that they spent the last 4 years yelling at people and keeping their foot on people's necks, and now they're mad that they can't do that anymore.
Right, because they've lost their power to destroy people's lives, and suppress information and all the stuff they're doing. They're not going to be able to do lawfare anymore. That's going to be done with as soon as Trump gets officially sworn in. There's going to be a lot of good changes to the country. So buckle up. It's going to be awesome.
And the fact that you're seeing the same liberal-minded people now claiming that Mexicans and such are racist or low IQ and contributed to the win for Trump?
Yeah, I mean, there are so many people on the left saying now that actually that black men and Mexican Americans are racist. Like, come on. No, they're just have their heads out of their butt. And they have a clue of what's going on in this country, and they want change. And now we have the opportunity for such change. I don't know if it's actually going to happen, but hey, it's on the table now. So be optimistic. Have some hope, right? We have hope now.
It shows you that these people never saw you as human beings to begin with, and that's the ultimate loss of not just this election, but the constant loss of these sorts of people and how they think. Whether it's...
Yeah, I mean, it just degrades humanity. I mean, if you are so quick to just throw away, like I've heard people say, oh, this person has been my friend for 20 years, but they voted for Trump, so, F off, you're dead to me. It's like, really? That's how you feel? Or they're like, hey, if you voted for Trump, block me and unsubscribe or whatever. It's like, really? You're just going to quickly dismiss people just because they don't think the way that you think? You think you're better than everybody else? It's so pathetic.
It's elections or video games. They simply deny to see people for who they are and instead refuse to find common ground with anyone that doesn't adhere to their ideology 100% of the time.
Yeah, because look, I mean, in reality, we have way more in common than we do that puts space between us, right? I mean, the normal person in America is just like, look, I want to go to work. I want the government to stay out of my business. I want to provide for my family or just, for myself if you're single. And I just want to live life, right? Like it's really not that complicated, but it just seems these type of people and people, not everybody, but a lot of people on the left, it's just all about the ideology and, the gender and, your race or your wealth, your class. I mean, everybody is put in little pockets and then they try to divide everybody. And it's horrible. And I hope people are starting to wake up, which I think they are.
It's the reason why things like Gamergate 2 continue to rage on as they do and have led to the genuine failure of games like Concord, Suicide Squad, and now even Veilguard. People like Patrick Weeks of BioWare, they don't see other people as equals. They believe that they're just better than you in every way. And the fact that you denied them their power makes you all now subhuman filth in their eyes. And just go look at Twitter right now. Go look at any games journalist that is far left leaning, which is like 99% of them, let's be real, and you'll see exactly what I mean. They're all losing their minds and coping, saying that racism won or whatever else they want to say. Yet they...
Yeah, those journalists are not the only ones losing their minds. Oh, man. In fact, I'm going to be doing a video today about showing some of these people and just the absolutely the crybaby behavior. They're just, I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it. They need a cuddle puppy or something. Calm down.
They continue to still not see the reason why they lost. They thought that they could silence you and scare you into compliance, and America rose up like an angry beast and said no, and now they will hate you for it. And they will hate you for not buying their products or watching their movies or anything else in the future too. And as I predicted prior to the election, I said that if Trump wins, you will see the insufferability of these loathing people in charge of game studios and then some, using this loss to push back in a negative fashion. Even Grums agrees with this from that Park Place. Former World of Warcraft team lead predicts AAA video game studios will double down to get an even stronger protest message out after Donald Trump's victory. As one user asked, do you think that what we saw last night in the presidential election will be reflected in AAA games? For instance, the resounding national rejection of wokeism by our entire country. Do you think that will carry any weight in future titles? To which...
Yes. Well, eventually it's gonna take effect for the positive. But yeah, I think there is going to be they're going to double down exactly. But I think we're at the turning point. So I don't know. I cross my fingers because, man, I hope this mind virus just gets burned out and people just wake up.
Which Grums replied, I think AAA devs will try to double down and get an even stronger protest message out. This will tank their games even harder, and investors will eventually punish them in the stock market until profit reigns over insanity. 2 years to stop the spread. Don't forget to identify as non-binary. By the way,
that is awesome. I am non-binary. That is the greatest thing I've heard in a long time. Oh my gosh, I'm totally going to be saying that. That is great. I'm stealing that. I'm totally going to use it. Oh, that's brilliant.
Hey, I love that new term, non-binary. Oh, I'm so proud of this community. It's crazy
awesome.
How much we're winning this year. They told us that we can't change video games, and then we ended up burning their empires down all year. Veilguard is but the latest castle of woke that is currently on fire. And I have no doubt, as Grum stated, that they will continue to push these anti-conservative messages in video games, TV, and more going forward. Because they just genuinely hate us, man, and the fact instead of trying to find common ground, that they would rather push that rift even further apart, it's astounding to me. It's like if I just suddenly made this channel into a makeup channel, and you guys were like, what the hell is this? And then you unsubscribed and stopped watching. But instead of realizing that that's not what people are here for, instead I would double down and do more makeup videos and call everybody bigots for not liking my new direction for the channel. That's a joke, by the way. I have no idea how most makeup even works. I've only worn makeup for like Halloween costumes, and man, I have no idea how women do it, dude. Everything about makeup sucks. God, I'm so happy I'm a guy. Anyway, I fully suspect games to get worse in the coming months going forward for sure. I mean,
I think it's going to be longer than the coming months.
Even one of the higher-ups of Sweet Baby Inc. recently said they're not going anywhere, and they too are doubling down, also from Park Place. Former Sweet Baby Inc. employee confirms companies doubling down on woke agenda. They're not going to stop us. This references an interview that was recently conducted on thegamer.com, you know, one of those websites that says a lot of stupid stuff on it. Anyway, the person they interviewed is named Grant Roberts. They used to work for SBI, and they still support the company publicly. This guy had a lot to say about how players are rejecting things like Dragon Age and more. He said via The Gamer, and I quote, "When it really reached its apex, when Elon Musk was tweeting about us, companies were reaching out to us privately and showing support. Nobody was pulling that support. I think the reason why we've had much more support privately than publicly..."
You know, Elon Musk is like, along with everything else he's doing, which is just, it boggles your mind. The companies that, between SpaceX and Tesla and batteries, and he's got the boring company, and like, like there's just so many things he's doing that is amazing. He's also like an actual, I don't know, top notch. He's not professional, but he could be gamer. He loves gaming. And he's a really, really good at what was the game? Anyways, it slips my mind right now. I'll get back to it as soon as I remember. Diablo, hello, thank you. Diablo, and he is just insanely good. One of the top people in the world, actually. Anyways, my point is, I think it would be awesome if Elon Musk started a game studio or bought a game studio and turned it around just like he did with Twitter becoming X, and just cutting all the woke fat off of the carcass and like reviving the industry. He could totally do it. I think it'd be awesome.
Is because when people do speak up publicly, we knew that they were opening themselves up to attacks. What I personally would have liked to see is more institutions saying that this is wrong, that this is happening, that people are being targeted in this way. That Sweet Baby isn't just a DEI company or a company that makes things more woke. Not that there's anything wrong with that in the first place, but even if there was, that's not everything that we do. It would have been nice to have seen more people and institutions learn the lessons of 10 years ago. I would go back to work at Sweet Baby in a heartbeat. I would hire Sweet Baby in a heartbeat. Even though I've been doing this for a quarter of a century, I still learned an incredible amount from the people there, both about game development and otherwise. Even with the experiences of the last year and a half, which have been mostly bad, I've learned a lot during that as well. The world is the way it is now. These games are more inclusive for people, games are more authentic, and it doesn't matter whether you think that's true or not, it's happening. So no matter what these people do, they're not going to stop us. They're not going to stop the way that the world is now, end quote. So we're just going full mask off, are we? Okay, very cool. So this guy truly believes that no matter what Gamergate 2 does, that the agenda of SBI will always exist and continue to ruin games no matter what we do.
No, that's not true. It's going to change. It has to, or it's not going to be a company anymore. So I think we're going finally in the right direction. No pun intended.
That's some very bold claims there, Grant. I don't know about you, but if a household name like Dragon Age can flop, what hope do you have exactly in the future? Even Assassin's Creed is getting cooked by this nonsense too, and the fact that you went as far as to admit that Sweet Baby is indeed responsible for the exact things they're criticized for is crazy to me. Just a reminder that Grant said that in the interview, that Sweet Baby isn't just a DI company or a company that makes things more woke. Not that there's anything wrong with that in the first place, but even if there was, that's not everything that we do. So you actually admit that you do in fact ruin games on purpose then. Amazing. Yep. It's incredible how bullish a company can be after everything they worked on has failed pretty much, outside of maybe God of War Ragnarok. But that game came out before people really knew what SBI even was. Miles Morales too, by the way. But once they did know they were involved, Ragnarok actually flopped on Steam. So you're telling me that the company that ruined God of War, Spider-Man, Batman, and supports the agendas and stuff like Veilguard is confident that they will still exist and continue to ruin games going forward? I guess challenge accepted, Grant. We'll see who makes it out of this then. Will it be your side who actually needs the support and money of the players to survive, or the players who can easily just ignore you and buy things that you haven't worked on and continue playing games that are free of your nonsense? It's a bold claim when your weakness is so evidently easy to exploit like this. But these are the people who refuse to admit that they are the reason why their environment is what it is right now. They created the agenda that resulted in their own destruction, whether it's political or in entertainment. I didn't ask for you guys to put a non-binary Kunari teammate in Veilguard. I didn't tell you to get Harley Quinn of all people to shoot Batman in the skull with a gun at point-blank range in Suicide Squad. All I ever wanted was for entertainment to be respected as the escapism that it should be, but your side refused to allow us to exist peacefully. And now it's our fault that your agenda is failing. We're at fault that Sweet Baby is on fire on an almost daily basis. And I love how they claim we're responsible for their games failing, like, buddy, if I or others didn't talk about Veilguard or other games like it, nobody would even know what these games were about or care. Let's be real. You know how bad things have to become that a BioWare superfan like myself has to document my journey with this godforsaken game like this? You think I wanted Dragon Age sequel to be what it is? You all did this to yourselves. You can't make the decisions you made, then get mad when people reject them. For the love of God, you made a game with Tumblr writing that's like this. Watch this scene.
She felt it all over. Her attraction to the hero, a powerful but properly contained tingle. Merely exquisite. Properly contained. No, sounds bad. Okay, cut the middle line. Much more natural.
What are you working on?
Oh! Rook! I didn't see you. What did you hear?
Not sure what it was, but it sounded pretty good.
Oh, really? Well, thank you. Nev found me more cereals. I've read them, all of them, multiple times. And I thought maybe I could try it, writing my own, I mean. Not like Varric Tetris, but my own sort of thing. For me, and people like me. Something to focus on, besides Syrian and all of that. And you know, you're also interesting. It helps for inspiration.
Interesting is certainly a word we could use.
But it works. You're fighting ancient gods and everything. And you know the rest. It's impressive. What you've done, I mean, brought everyone together. You're a good person. Really.
It's cringe.
Just don't tell anyone. I've got a reputation to uphold.
Right. Your secret's safe with me. But I'm probably not the only one, you know, who notices. People look up to you. And more are going to when this is over. Anyways, thanks, Rook. I'll talk to you later. Gotta finish this scene.
Like, what is this? 50 Shades of Grey or a BioWare game? My god, where's the maturity, the nuance, the layered characters? I'm over 30 hours into Veilguard on chapter 9, I believe, and I still don't care about these companions yet. Davrin, for example, is a non-character. The dude's entire character arc is that he has a pet griffin. The griffin is more the teammate than Davrin is. I don't even hate Davrin. I think his voice actor sounds great. I just think when you compare him to the other Grey Warden allies we've had in previous games, this guy's story and writing pales in comparison. And by the way, it's not the voice actor's fault, it's the writers. Then you have Emmerich, who is also such a one-dimensional character too. The guy is just a nice necromancer who is afraid of death, because wouldn't it be ironic if the death mage was scared of dying? And how many times have we seen that trope before in media? Oh, you're a bird, but you're afraid of heights? Like, come on now. The only characters so far that have any nuance to them, I guess, is Nev Gallus, the ice mage, Harding the scout, and actually that's it. Tasha's entire story is that she's non-binary, and Balara's is just some story. What was her story? I'm trying to remember right now. What was it? Something about like her brother is alive, when she said he was dead or something, but he's being controlled by a cartoon villain pretty much. It's so lame, dude. Look, I'm tired, man. I'm sick of seeing the games I love getting ruined. I'm sick of seeing the world being on fire, and I'm sick of people who don't know me telling me that I would be better off dead because I don't agree with their agenda, like always. These people created the environment they are living in, and they have no one to blame but themselves. And like, oh my god, another one. Okay, let's end with this story from Park Place.
You know, there's just no introspection on these people, and that's really the biggest problem. It's always somebody else's fault, and they usually, blame the wrong thing entirely. And they just need to look at themselves. You know, maybe they're the bad guy. Maybe it's not everybody else, right?
Mass Effect writer says, "I'm trying hard to restrain the vicious need to lash out at other people following Donald Trump's presidential victory." The person in question here is Casey Alexander, who wrote the Mass Effect Andromeda tie-in novel. Don't harass this person, but they said via Blue Sky, have reached a point in this game where the first night shrieks and wails and sober is no longer acceptable. Tomorrow is a new day, but to get there, it's ZQuil time, unsponsored F this SHIT. I'm emotionally unavailable for the next 5 hours of sleep aid of choice. If you can, whatever you need, try to get some sleep. Even if it's scattered cat naps, your brain needs the energy to function, and we will want to function. I'm trying hard to restrain the vicious need to lash out at other people. I am too furious, too spiteful, too exhausted, too flattened, too scared. And yet I am incandescent.
What are they scared about? I don't understand this reaction. I mean, I know when Biden won, I was like, ugh, here we go. Everything's going to start tanking and we're going to go in the wrong direction. I knew that, but give me a break. I didn't lose any friends over it. I didn't read any pathetic posts like this. I don't understand where all this hatred comes from initially.
With a rage that has only this damaged body and mind to house it. Even the way they talk is nonsense. See what I mean? They never try to reason with people. Just, I am a damaged, sad, and bewildered person. But I also refuse to accept or acknowledge why things are the way that they are. And because of this, things will continue to shift away from their...
They don't look inside themselves and figure out that maybe they're the cause of all the hatred that they're projecting out onto everybody else.
Ideological perspective, and they can only blame themselves. Because these people refuse to find common ground with normal human beings anymore.
Yep.
The election, games, movies, it doesn't matter. We are all the devil in these people's eyes.
Yep.
And at this point, I'm tired of trying to mend bridges for people who have no intention of crossing them. All I know is that it's clear that we cannot continue down this road. One side needs to prevail in the end. It can no longer be this half and half stuff like it used to be, and instead of these people willing to find common ground, they will just continue to ignore why stuff like Veilguard failed, why Trump won, and why they keep losing in every regard. And it's not up to me or you to tell these people how to live their lives. They're adults. If they can't function without screaming and throwing a fit, I say let them continue to lose their minds.
Yeah.
We keep moving forward, fellas. After all, there's no way back anyways, just through. So leave these people behind to thrash in their own waste and self-pity. Because we're winning so much this year that it's getting ridiculous. They said Gamergate 2 was smaller and sadder than before. And now it's engulfed the entire industry like a raging firestorm that never ceases to stop. They said anyone who liked the Orange Man was bad until an entire country spoke with their voices to disprove this too. What I want you to take away from the world today is that with your voice and being a community, you can absolutely change things to make them better. And to the people who hate me and others like me, you lost because you continue to fail because you refuse to see people as people. So enjoy your failure because you all deserved it. Thank you for watching. Subscribe. Have a wonderful day. Thanks to my members and patrons, and I'll see you soon.
Wow, that was really powerful and good messaging from Endymion. So, yeah, it's gonna be kind of crazy, I think, in the next few months for sure, and then especially after Trump gets sworn in. But I think maybe the country is taking a turn for the better, in my opinion. I think people are waking up. And I think people that are woke are, I mean, they're going to have to change their mindset. But anyways, enough of that. It was a great video. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you and I love you guys. And if you enjoy my reaction, consider subscribing, liking, and sharing. That really helps the channel grow. So, until the next video, you guys stay safe, have a great day, and we'll see you later. All right, bye.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear that my